Guns are among the most restricted consumer goods for sale in the United States today. I mean, name it. Name it. You don't have to undergo a background check to buy a blender. Nobody bats an eye about a microwave on a college campus. Yet firearms are a different matter altogether. And part of that is understandable. Because guns aren't microwaves. And I'm not trying to imply that they are microwaves. But where is the right to keep and bear microwaves in the Constitution? Guns are different. We have to fight in order to have the right to carry a firearm in various places, including schools. And not everybody understands why we're fighting for that. Though that is made clear by a student op-ed titled, "Protect Students, Not Guns." So let's start with this framing. While the author may not have penned this particular headline, those are often changed by editors. The idea here is that it's an either-or thing, and that everybody sees it that way. I don't. I look at guns as a means to protect students. Shootings are happening despite all the various gun control laws on the books. And that's not, that's not going to change. So what I'm looking for is for regular people to be good people to be empowered to be able to protect themselves with their own guns, and by extension, that specter creates protection for others. And the author disagrees. And after sharing an anecdote about people mistaking a balloon popping for a gunshot, which is clear evidence they've never been on a range, we get to the meat of the push here. And so here it is, verbatim. While many liberal politicians are starting to back stricter gun control legislation, there lacks a direct focus on the protection of students, which has resulted in over 292,000 students witnessing this sort of gun-driven terror at school before even reaching college age. Lawmakers need to narrow their immediate focus toward banning guns from school grounds, K through 12, and college campuses alike, especially as 2021 saw the largest number of school shootings in the past 2 decades. And as of today, there are no federal laws that explicitly restrict guns on college campuses, leaving the decision to the discretion of each state. Only 16 states have enacted a ban on concealed weapons on campuses. K through 12 campuses, on the other hand, have slight federal protection through the Gun-Free School Zone Act that aims to regulate gun possession in and near these schools. However, the act has a major loophole that exempts those who are licensed by a state to carry a handgun. Given this law was enacted back in 1990 and there have been over 300 K through 12 school shootings since then, something clearly isn't working. I'm not really sure that I like this implication that somehow the loophole that allows somebody who's been vetted a lot is somehow responsible for the shootings at the K through 12 schools. And the reason they make mention of the loophole is because you're trying to make that implication. They're trying to say that you, me, the regular law-abiding gun owner that carries a gun, has a permit, maybe you live in a state where there's constitutional carry, we're the problem. We're the problem. And it should be noted that absolutely none of those 300 school shootings since the law was enacted or before then were carried out by people with a carry permit. I mean, in California, for years, they only just recently did away with it. In California, if you had a carry permit, you could carry a gun in a school. You could carry a gun anywhere a cop could carry a gun. So, in other words, the author is making a connection in an effort to muddy the waters. And that's always what they do, and they continue to do this as well. So currently, 33 K through 12 schools lack definitive laws against faculty carrying guns. And as of 2012, around 75% of university police departments carried guns. And despite this freedom, some states are fighting for even looser gun restrictions on school grounds, and others are making it easier than ever to obtain a gun in the first place. That's a problem for them. Then he goes on to say, what initiatives like these fail to acknowledge is that adding more guns to the equation won't decrease gun violence rates and may actually do the opposite. Many of the states that are fighting for these looser restrictions and that are already allowing faculty to carry guns are also the states with some of the highest rates of gun-induced deaths. Now, notice that this is not homicide. This is gun-induced death. What is a gun-induced death? Well, they mean both homicide and suicide, plus accidental shootings and justified homicide. And that's a terrible data set to use to justify disarming people. Because that's a bunch of different things. That's 4 different things altogether. If you get rid of drug-related homicide, right? You get rid of gang on gang, gang member on gang member homicide, you get, I don't know, what do we got, 2,500, 3,500 homicides? That's too many, but it's in a nation of 330 plus million people with 500 million guns. So I'm just wondering where this whole gun issue, why is it about the gun? Now, the guy who wrote this is not going to look at these numbers critically. They've got their mind made up, and confirmation bias is a hell of a drug. And what the author and people like them fail to understand is that guns are not the issue. A gun in and of itself doesn't do nothing. It's a matter of whose hands the gun finds itself. In my hands, it's a tool. It's a tool for good. It's a threat to no one. But if you put it in the hands of a violent felon, now you've got a different matter entirely. But some people have dedicated their lives to inhibiting our ability to defend our family, all while knowing at least some level of these new laws will have negative, very little impact on criminal behavior, if any at all. And this author, well, he's just the latest example of that. And, you know, they come out all the time. It's a constant thing. I would enjoy it if it wasn't so stupid. If the basis of it was not so stupid. How do you take a bunch of people and protect them by making them defenseless? How does that work? With no means. Well, we've got police pulling back, Sorosian DAs, all this stuff going on right now. How does that happen? We'll be right back. This is Lock and Load.